The Museum of Modern Art in New York City, or MoMA as pretty much everybody calls it, is the gold standard for modern art museums worldwide. The reason is because it's home to so many of the pivotal superstar works that shape the course of modern art. It was founded with a mission to showcase the greatest adventure of our age, modern art, and it did. You're gonna see iconic artworks in this collection from people like Van Gogh, Picasso, Warhol, Dalí, and more. This is a top 10 masterpiece countdown, and we're gonna do it all in only 10 minutes. MoMA is located in Manhattan, in the middle of New York City. It's on West 53rd Street between 5th and 6th Avenues. It costs $30 to get in for adults, but there's discounts for students, seniors, and children are free under 16. There's also a free night on the first Friday of every month from 4 to 8 o'clock. Number 10, The Sleeping Gypsy by Henri Rousseau, 1897. The Sleeping Gypsy is a fantastical depiction of a lion and a sleeping, unknown woman in the middle of the desert. Rousseau was a self-taught artist whose what some would call naive style was celebrated for its dream-like qualities. It combines this childlike sense of wonder with an otherworldly experience, and it keeps viewers guessing about its meaning. That's why it's modern art. Rousseau's work was initially ridiculed, but later revered by avant-garde artists. It's a predecessor to many of the modern artists you'll see today. Number 9, Object by Meret Oppenheim, 1936. The official title is simply Object, but it's more commonly known as The Furry Cup. It's a classic example of surrealism's exploration of familiar objects made strange. It was inspired actually by a conversation with Picasso. It's iconic because it juxtaposes texture and function to create an unsettling yet fascinating object, challenging the viewer. The piece ended up becoming so famous that Oppenheim grew tired of talking about it. Number 8, The Dance, 1, by Henri Matisse, 1909. This depicts very simply 5 dancing figures, a theme that Matisse revisited multiple times. It's iconic because it celebrates the primal joy of simple movement and color. His bold use of color and form influenced generations of modern artists. He created several versions. This is called Dance 1 because it's considered a study for the official dance, which is in the Hermitage in St. Petersburg. But this work has become so popular and so influential that Dance 1 stands on its own. Number 7, Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth, 1948. This is one of my personal favorites in this museum and a favorite of so many museum goers. For some reason, it just strikes that emotional chord. It was inspired by a real-life neighbor named Christina who suffered from polio and struggled to move. And it's since become a tribute to human perseverance and isolation. It's iconic because of the barren landscape and Christina's pose, evoking a sense of longing and mystery. The meticulous detail creates such a striking realism that it really draws you in. It's also very controversial because he used a model for the actual painting. Number 6, Water Lilies by Claude Monet, 1914 to 1926. What great museum is complete without a huge Claude Monet? MoMA is no exception. This is part of a series that Monet worked on obsessively in his garden at Giverny in France. It represents his mature style and dedication to capturing the essence of nature. It's iconic because of its large-scale canvases that create this immersive, almost meditative experience, and the museum's actually done a really good job allowing you to do that, giving it basically its own room. Number 5, Collective Suicide by David Alfaro Siqueiros, 1936. I'm so excited to include this because I love Mexican art. This is one of the big 3 Mexican muralists. This painting knocks you out when you walk into this room. It was created during a time of political turmoil and violence in Mexico, and it's a really powerful critique of imperialism and oppression. He uses dynamic lines and bold colors to convey a sense of chaos and urgency. This is his emotional response and depiction of colonialism in action. Number 4, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon by Pablo Picasso, 1907. This painting really took my breath away. It's the first time that I had ever seen it in person. Of course, like so many people that have studied art and are familiar at all with Picasso, I had seen it in books and in movies and in videos. It's so large and so striking that it really knocks you back, and it's a good thing that there's a nice, comfortable bench for you to sit on and look at it. It's considered one of Picasso's most radical works, and it laid the groundwork for Cubism. You can see how Cubism is starting here. It was inspired by African art and masks, which influenced the painting's angular forms. It depicts basically a bunch of women in a brothel in Barcelona. It marked a revolutionary break from traditional Western representations of the female body, and it changed the way artists approached perspective and composition. When Picasso first showed it to friends, it was met with shock and even disgust. Probably why I love it. Number 3, Campbell's Soup Cans by Andy Warhol, 1962. The newest masterpiece in today's top 10 countdown. You probably were all waiting for this, Andy Warhol. This is Warhol's breakthrough series that put him at the forefront of the pop art movement. It was created as a commentary on consumerism and mass production. It's iconic because he transformed everyday commercial goods, many from his childhood, into high art, challenging the traditional boundaries of art and our way of thinking. It totally blurred the line. Warhol ate Campbell's soup for lunch every day for almost 20 years. So there's a personal connection here. Number 2, The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dalí, 1931. 1 minute is nowhere near enough to talk about the impact, the beauty, and the emotional response that many of us have and will have to this absolute masterpiece. This is the quintessential piece of the surrealist movement. Dalí was inspired by the concept of time being fluid and subjective, and that's what he's showing us, even though he actually based the shape of these clocks off of camembert cheese. This showcases Dalí's incredible technical skill in rendering fantastical, dream-like imagery to show us the collapse of time. It allows us to think about our own lives in a different way, and every time I look at it, I think of something new and have a new perspective. It's one of the smallest works in this top 10. It's only about the size of a piece of paper. Number 1. The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, 1889. This is the Mona Lisa of modern art, probably the most famous painting in the world in modern times, and with absolutely, unquestionably great reason. It does everything that art is supposed to do. It's a little bit crowded to try to get to see it, but it's worth it to see it once in your lifetime because it's one of the paintings that you will absolutely never forget. And it is wonderful to meet in person because the strokes that Vincent van Gogh uses are so much a part of the message that he's sending that you can't get that from a book. The Starry Night was painted by Van Gogh while he was in a mental asylum in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence in France. It was actually painted from memory, and it depicts a scene just before sunrise. So make of that emotionally what you will. It's famous for its swirling, dreamlike depiction of the night sky, and it captures the artist's unique style probably more than any other of his wonderful paintings. Bear the crowds, brave the weather, fall in love with this painting just like me and so many others have done. All of us will have our own starry night moment at some point in our lives to some degree. And it's the purpose of great art like this to remind us that in that experience, we're not alone. Okay, let's do the countdown one more time. Number 10, The Sleeping Gypsy by Henri Rousseau. Number 9, Object, also known as Furry Cup by Meret Oppenheim. Number 8, The Dance by Henri Matisse. Number 7, Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth. Number 6, Water Lilies by Claude Monet. Number 5, Collective Suicide by Siqueiros. Number 4, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon by Pablo Picasso. Number 3, Campbell's Soup Cans by Andy Warhol. Number 2, The Persistence of Memory by Dalí. And number 1, The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. If you're anything like me, you're probably thinking that this was way too fast and you want to spend a lot more time with each piece. Well, I've got the perfect solution for you because the next video does exactly that. You get much more detail, the entire story behind the artist, behind the painting, and all of the controversies. There are also some epic and iconic masterpiece paintings that are associated with MoMA but are no longer able to be seen. You might go all the way there and your favorites aren't there. What are those? What's the story behind them? I talk about them in this video, the missing famous pieces of MoMA. If you enjoyed this video, help me follow my passion by clicking like and leaving a comment, like telling me which was your favorite piece of art, whether or not you've ever seen it in real life. Let me know what other artworks you love, what other museums you love and you'd like to see me do a video about. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Toby Nomad. Click here for more MoMA.